Hello and welcome back to my podcast, Can You Put Me on Guest List? I hope everybody is well. I'm Katie Knight and today's guest is a thinker, a writer, a DJ, and a force behind some of the most important questions happening in music right now. Elijah is best known for his yellow squares, those bold, brilliant prompts that have redefined how we talk about creativity, visibility, and value in the age of social media, which have now been turned into his brilliant book, Close the App, Make the Ting. But long before the yellow posts and the lectures and the book, Elijah was embedded deep in UK club culture, helping build the foundations of grime as co-founder of the iconic label Butters. Elijah has spent such a long time studying the intersection between music and sound, strategy, storytelling, all by blending DJing and writing and mentorship into an incredibly powerful creative practice. So in this episode, we go all the way back to where it started, his love for music, the early days of the scene, and how his purpose has evolved over time. We talk about how it feels to shape creative education. Elijah shares his takes on labels versus DIY in 2025, how artists are balancing visibility with value, and what it really means to build a sustainable career in a content-driven world. We also unpack the ideas behind some of his most interesting yellow squares. This episode is powered by TrackStack, the platform designed to help you build a sustainable career in electronic music, whether you're managing demos, sending promos, leveling up your tracks, monetizing your music knowledge. TrackStack makes the process super easy and efficient. It's incredibly easy to use, and if you want to give it a try, you can do so with the promo code CUPMOG. That is the first letter of every word of Can You Put Me on Guest List for 10% off for life. Right, this is such an interesting chat. I loved it, and I know you guys will too. This is Elijah on Can You Put Me on Guest List.
Can you hear me good?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, basically just, do this in life. It's just good. It's like, I say, or if I just say like not now, then it also, if someone like still wants to do something like 6 months later or a year later, then it's like, it's good. It's like, whereas if it's like at the time that something is happening or in motion, I don't know. Like,
is it nice to now like feel like you're going to have a break from doing all of these kind of things, or?
I think I'll just be back on the other side. Like I've been interviewed, but then I can just switch things around. So doing, I guess we do similar things. Like, whereas imagine if you spent a year being interviewed, 2 years being interviewed, you'd be like, okay, I should actually go and do some interviews or go back to like what I was want to do.
Do you prefer to interview people or be interviewed?
Again, it's just phases. I think it's just going back and forth. It's just like this pendulum between, I guess, being an artist, I guess, and then being a documenter, and the balance between those two things.
Yeah. A lot of like hats to balance, I guess.
It's the same. It's the same hat. It's one hat. It's just mine.
It's yours?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
A lot of people say that. I was like, like all these things are like different bits of work.
But it's all one.
It's the same thing. It's just different. Like you're just dialing up the one part, and then dialing down for a bit, and then dialing up. Like, whereas I think what like happens, I guess old media used to be, okay, you do one thing. Like if you have a radio show, for example, you have a radio show every week for an amount of time, and then people are like, okay, you're a radio show presenter. But it's like nowadays you can do a residency for a few weeks or a few months, then go on something else, go back to something else. You know what I mean? You can kind of mix it up a bit.
Is this idea the same idea as the square, which is like DJ and then it's like journalist, producer, like manager, or like just everyone can kind of do a bit of everything?
You don't do them anything all the time anyway.
Yeah. Okay, so if somebody says to you, what do you do? What do you say?
I don't know. Just say like, it just depends who I'm talking to. If it's someone in music, then I'll just tell them something I've recently worked on. I think that's more pertinent than like a job title. Like I don't even understand what job titles are. Like if someone said, oh, like they are, even if they said a cameraman, I'm like, it's very vague.
Yeah.
Do you make films? Do you make podcasts? Do you, what is it what is the output of your skill rather than your skill? Like, yeah.
It's so true. I think we all just try and think that we have a title and think that it's important to have a title, but actually like we all just do our unique own thing.
Yeah. There's things that, again, like circumstantial, like if you were sitting in a dentist chair, you would want that person to be a dentist.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, sorry, do you want to start? But in art, I don't think it's that important. It's just skills and output rather than, for the most part, job title and whatever. Like, I don't know, if you're the assistant marketing manager at label, do you say, oh, I've done the assistant bit and then just this bit is more senior, so I can't do that. That doesn't really happen.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. But don't ask me, I haven't had a job in music, so I don't know. Maybe I'm a bad
Because I was like, when I was preparing for the podcast, I was like thinking about when I would do the intro, because I like voice over that bit after, and then I was like, what are you?
Today, I think it's just a writer and a DJ. That's it. I think that's just the easiest description. Mm-hmm. Like, I have a book, and I do DJ a lot, and just talk about the ideas in the book, and then the DJing or all those kind of ideas reflect what's in the book. It's kind of like, and then I guess I'm part of a music scene in London, or contributed to one at least, or contributed to a few. Mm-hmm. And I've had other roles, but like we all have.
What was your first role in music that you ever had?
The same as I have now.
The same?
Yeah, writing and DJing. But it's like self-appointed. It's not like anyone gave me that. I just put a blog on the internet and then started DJing and then put the sets on the internet with Skillium and joined Rinse. And then it's like literally the same as today. I have a show going out of Rinse and I have writing in the world. It's like I've gone back to the start again. It's weird.
Did you ever do stuff outside of music?
I've done stuff in culture, but not music driven. So more like, I guess, arts and kind of visual production and stuff, but not a lot, not as much as I'd like to. Mm-hmm. But pretty much when I finished university, 2009, I looked for jobs. Couldn't really get one. It was just that credit crunch kind of period of time. And then there was like, I guess, some sort of jump off where I was like, oh, like I might as well just commit to doing this. I actually got offered a job, then they saw what I was doing on the internet, and then it was taken away. Because they thought that I wouldn't have the focus. Yeah.
What was the job offer?
Recruitment consultant.
And then they saw what you were doing, mm-hmm. and then they took the job away?
Yeah.
Why?
Because they said I wouldn't be committed enough, and they might have been right. So if that didn't happen, if I just got a job, I would, obviously I wouldn't be here today in the same way. Maybe I just would have done things a bit more with less intensity, but yeah, that was like the reason that I'm here now.
Everything just happens how it needs to happen.
Yeah.
Right? Uh-huh. Had you always wanted to work in music since you were young?
No, like I literally haven't. It's so bizarre. Like obviously I love music and I don't have any love for like the industry or anything like that. Some people are like, oh, like I really want to work in the music industry or at a label or something like that. It's like I'm a very like time and place person. It's like grime was on my doorstep. I'm from East London. The generation of people that were coming through like inspired me to be like, okay, I feel like I can get involved here with the things I'm interested in general, like I guess marketing and writing, and yeah, obviously I was interested in music and making stuff, but I just never, loved it. Like I thought the industry was just like, I mean, maybe I still do now. That's probably just why I've never really dived in that way. Most of the music and musicians that I grew up with or grew up following, like they got screwed over by the industry. So I didn't really want to participate in it in that level. So again, it's very time and place. If I lived like half an hour outside of where I lived, I wouldn't be involved in music at all. I'll just enjoy it.
Yeah. What do you think you would be doing?
I have no idea. Like maybe I'd be doing the same thing, but just for myself. I'd be just writing and DJing at home and collecting music and buying books and going out to shows, but then just having like a more of a quiet job or like a not public facing job.
What did you study at uni?
Business, economics.
Okay.
And yeah, I had like marketing kind of modules as well. But I wasn't like that engaged. That was a mistake. I shouldn't have done that.
Do you genuinely think it was a mistake?
Yeah, I feel like I got ripped off. And that was just before it became like £3,000 for like a year or something. Mine was like 1,200 and I could barely afford that. And I don't think it was worth it. Like the people that were teaching me, I don't even remember their names. Like I just feel like I got nothing out of the course. And yeah, literally as I finished, started a company, but I didn't learn anything that I actually ended up applying to.
Yeah. I think when we spoke at IMS, when we did the panel together, I think somebody asked, one of the questions was about education, and I remember you saying that you never really had connected with education when you were younger. And obviously you're now very much, part of that space. If you could build part of the creative curriculum, what would you have, and you were building it from scratch, what would be part of it? What do you think is missing?
I think like most of the work should just be in the public domain and just out there in the world. So I think, say like degree programs, they keep you contained like within the walls of the university, whereas actually the things that you make should just be out there in the world like any other music or any other kind of cultural production. And then you get to kind of get a feel for what the real world is actually like. And I think, so like if you're creating the dissertation should just be your first book or your first company or your first label project or your first album. Like why actually keep those 20,000 words within the walls and have like some random dude marking it and say, oh yeah, this is good. Like if Butters, the label that I did, could have been a dissertation or it could have been what it became. Same amount of effort, ultimately. And I feel like there's been just a lot of effort placed on these, like, in things that are just, like, don't go anywhere.
Yeah. Before I actually don't even really know where to begin with this conversation. So I just feel like I came to your talk and I was like, wow, like, this is so cool. And I have so many questions. Then so that was your talk in London, which was in February, I think. Yep. Then we did the panel together and I was like, I need to have him on the podcast. But I just have so many thoughts, but I just don't really know how this is all going to come out. So we're just going to chat.
Well, I think, ask me questions that you maybe wouldn't ask anyone else, or you think are like, I would give a non-standard answer to you.
I'm just going to shoot questions at you and we're just going to roll with it. I think, because you've just said Butters, one thing that I wanted to ask you was, I think you lean towards in a lot of your writings, like DIY empowerment. So what is your current your current thought or current mindset on record labels versus self-releasing?
I kind of, basically both.
Okay.
If you're in a position where someone wants to invest in your career and they've got like a good track record of breaking artists and developing them, if all other things equal, take the opportunity. But at the same time, leaving yourself the freedom to work on and learn from those projects to release your own. So I think being completely married to one situation, one way of doing things is like not that helpful. But then having the learnings from that and then a bit of space to build your own thing at the same time. So it's a bit of a barbell. So one extreme, let's say you're on popular indie label, releasing singles that you feel like have got some sort of wider appeal, that you've maybe created with other people, collaborated, they've set up, you've worked in their studio, developed with them, And then you've got these projects that you've done all the things by yourself. You've done the cover, you shot the video, you made the artwork, you made the music, you paid for the studio time. That thing you keep.
Yeah, that's your own. If you were a new artist in 2025, what would you be putting most of your focus on?
Being able to get a song and everything around it done by myself.
Okay, so going back to what we were saying, you owning absolutely everything.
Not just ownership for the sake of ownership, but being able to do everything, even if it's not the best graphics or the best video. It's like being able to make what you want to make, shoot the kind of content around it, or the storytelling around it, or the writing around it, the editorial around it, and get it out in the world with no external help. Just you, laptop, creativity, and then posting.
What's your thoughts on having a team around you when you're starting out? Because I remember once seeing a post you saying, correct me if I say this wrong, but get a therapist before you get a manager or an agent.
Yeah. I shouldn't have said that. Yeah, I shouldn't have said that.
Why?
Because it's an overreach of my lack of expertise in that space. So,
okay.
Yeah, that's regret. Post regret, for sure.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting you to say that.
Yeah, I make mistakes, lots. That was one of them. And it's not one that no one's pulled up. More people that have like agreed. And I kind of knew what I meant, but I think once that's one of those ones that people can take hold of and it means something different to what I intended. And also, I mean, you've, I guess, maybe transferred one issue to another issue. So, okay, relying on a manager, and then maybe now you're relying on a therapist. But again, I think that this is like not for me to...
I think I understand it how you probably were trying to get it across, and I would never have thought it in any other way, but it's interesting that there have been things that you're like, oh, actually, I wish I hadn't have written that.
Yeah, so that one isn't in the book.
It isn't?
No. So there's quite, I think there's over 1,000, and then less than 100 made the book.
How did you decide which ones were going to make the book?
Because I thought about things that I thought would still be true in 2029, and that I could explain if someone just asked a question like that. I could stand by. They couldn't be like misinterpreted in bad faith. Some of them still can, but that is one that it would be harder to like peel the onion in front of people regularly, because people would say, "Oh, like, what's your experience?" I'm like, "I'm not talking to my mental health about you, with you," and I don't want you to do that with me either, because that's not my. Again, it's not my domain.
Why 2029?
It's just everyone says 2030. Let's just bring it a year forward. It's 5 years from. I think if the idea survives that long, which maybe like none of them will, maybe like 2 or 3 will, but that's still good, I think. 2 or 3 out of 100.
Yeah.
If they stick around, like I've realized they might be the shortest ones. It might be like Friends Buy Tickets, Keep London Loud. No, maybe that's just those 2 that are only surviving things out of this book.
Is there anything that you wish you would have done differently when you started out in music?
Yeah, the easiest answer is just not being afraid of any skill or any role, and like not being as like rigid about, okay, well, a marketing person does this and a social media person does this and a musician does that, like, and the cameraman does this. Like the boundaries between all of these things were dissolving in front of me, but then I still, I guess, still maintain the idea of like management or something and doing certain things and not others. Whereas today, for example, if I was just purely like an artist manager, I'd still like pick up the camera and like, shoot the content with the artist. That just makes complete sense. And rather than farming it out or giving that away to other people, I think. So yeah, I think there would have been a lot less outsourcing.
I think it's good that we all could try a little bit of different parts of the industry and not just stick to one thing that we know.
Yeah, I mean, like for a lot of things, I guess at the beginning you're very like trusting of the services in it. So it's like, okay, if it's like PR, for example, or radio plug-in and all these things, and then it's like when you just unravel like what the job of that thing is, okay, you're like, well, how long does that take to learn, or how much time do you need to develop the relationships to be effective in doing that? They're not as like steep learning curves as making music, for example.
Yeah.
So there's some things that I'm like, oh man, like I wish I just never, well, not even never, but I wish at a certain point when I realized this, I just cut the cord and just went completely, a bit more rogue than I did. I did it a bit, but like I could have gone harder.
You could have?
Yeah, for sure. But I think there's a difference between you representing yourself and then say like representing artists and the artist's desires and I guess expectations and like industry standards and all these things. The industry standards that existed when I started are not the same as today. So you think, oh, these things, oh, like of course everyone does it like that. And then there's a day when no one does it like that.
Yeah.
And we're in that same kind of moment today where a lot of people ask questions and they say, oh, everyone in the industry does this. I'm like, well, that thing didn't even exist 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So there isn't an industry standard, really. The only kind of standards you can uphold are like, kind of like ethics.
Yes.
And everything else is constantly moving.
Yeah, and like who even creates the standards or says how things go?
Exactly. And you have to remember, like, my skepticism of the industry in general wouldn't agree with most standards anyway.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
You're getting your standards from something that you're like, I'm not sure if that's the right way in the first place.
Do you know what I think this topic helps me with? Imposter syndrome.
Okay.
Because sometimes I feel like I definitely get it, and I think like I'm not capable of doing something, or somebody does this much better than I do, and I can't interview this person or I can't host this thing because somebody else is so much better. But then I think like, but who says that somebody's better? Like, or who says that somebody can do something better? What's the standard? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I guess how I've not bypassed, but I guess the imposter syndrome thing is more like, do I want to do that? Am I motivated? Rather than like being like excellent or the best. It's like, oh, do I want to do that thing? Sure, okay, then that carries me like quite far. Like being genuine, and then actually not doing the things that you don't want to do.
Not doing the things that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a big way.
Yeah.
Oh, like I just don't really like. I had this with radio for a long time. I was like, I don't do that. So, yeah, I just kind of filter out like all of these decisions that maybe some people think they have to do something. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. No.
Yeah.
Going from there. So then I don't have to battle with the imposter syndrome. Whereas if I was forcing myself to do something I don't really want to do, then that's where I'm going through the battle of imposter syndrome. And I think like people, at least my experience is when I've I guess lacked experience and things I still lack experience in, like people are quite patient. Like, oh, I've never done this before. And then there's like, oh, okay, sick. Okay, we're gonna like go on a bit of a journey here.
Yeah.
And I don't take advantage of that enough, and I haven't in my like journey. But something I want to get better at.
Yeah, I agree. Sometimes I think we just get in our heads and think like, oh, this person's gonna not be nice about me not knowing what I'm doing, but actually, if somebody came to me and said like, listen, I don't know what I'm doing here, I really enjoy that. I like that, and like being on that journey with that person, being like, cool, we're gonna do this together. And I think most people would, especially in this industry.
Exactly. I like giving the example of like, you don't want that moment like in a dentist chair, but it with art. It's kind of most of the time it's fine.
Yeah. It's like, well, we're all in it together.
Sometimes.
Hopefully. What do you feel optimistic about like the next generation of music creators?
I don't break things up. I just think it's going to be interesting as more people are able to do most of the thing by themselves. So you're getting like a very pure bit of vision. So if you say like, I think there's good sides and bad sides to this, by the way, is that if you listen to whatever, like a classic, even like classic house records, classic techno records, they're made by many people and maybe credited to one person. So you've got this kind of like, more like a band approach to making music. And then someone else made the video, and someone else did the artwork, and someone else communicated it to the world. Whereas today, what we're getting is someone seeing all of those things through. And then you're like, oh, that's literally what they mean. There isn't any other like kind of filter. And I find that super interesting. And especially as it goes from different mediums. So it's like, okay, like they made the song, and then the video, and the storytelling, and then the aesthetics. Like people's like eye today is like incredible. It's before something that you just didn't really have to think about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So in that sense, for sure. And I never seem to be able to open that up and not find something interesting or good or different or new. It's just so widely spread that it's really hard for people to scale. So maybe there'll just be less out and out kind of pop stars or something, but you'll see like thousands of interesting ideas from thousands of people rather than, you know, the GOAT or something. Yeah, I mean, like.
Yeah, you can find it anywhere.
Yeah.
I remember seeing one of your, well, I've seen it a few times, it's about the algorithm is not your audience. Is it something like that?
Go on, make your point and then I'll try and punch him.
Does it say that?
No.
Algorithm is not your audience?
No. But
where have I got that from then?
I don't know.
Maybe I've just got this idea in my head. But where I wanted to go with this conversation was, like, what are your thoughts on right now of people like managing their visibility and like against actually building a career? Like, are people more pressured into like sharing the process and getting lost in the actual process? And are we gonna lose like creatives and ideas along the way just because people are so obsessed with visibility?
I don't know. I don't know.
I guess, do you understand my point? I guess what I'm trying to say is like, people are just like, obviously just like a lot of artists or creatives are looking for the likes and the approval on social media. And like, how many of them people are actually getting lost in what is like the rest of creating and building their career just because that's like the important part to them?
Yeah, I don't know. I try to like think less about, I guess, the macro or the big or this kind of this person or the general feeling of something. It's just because it's really hard to capture, and it can kind of like spin you out into like a negative view of things. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So if you say, oh, everyone is doing something, I'm like, well, who is everyone? If you're able to give us a specific example, it's easier actually if you just ask the question from your personal perspective, and I think you get like a very different answer. So if it's like, oh, this is what it's like feeling for me, posting my podcasts and videos and trying to get out there in the world. You know, what do you think, or what is it like for you in that? Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Whereas I feel like it's harder for me to understand what it feels like to be like 19 and putting your music out there and trying to get someone who's like a booker from a club to understand you, or like an agent. It's like I'm just not in that position. Like I can kind of read the sentiment, but it's harder to like come up with something like that just fits generally. That's really hard. I've tried to do that with a book, but I think it's not as easy as you think.
Like, who is your audience?
I think most of the audience are makers, primarily like based in electronic music. I guess why the kind of DIY culture, the majority is from the UK. Most of the, I think there's, let me separate two things. There is an audience that has been built up through the ideas on Instagram. Mm-hmm. They are not necessarily my audience. They're just like someone that has liked a particular post or a particular thread, or like, okay, there was a series of things that they connected with. They clicked follow, that's it. there isn't anything broader than that. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense.
And I think they are part of the audience. And then there's another layer maybe above of people that have seen me like moving through this that DIY electronic music, grime space over the years, know my name for some reason. Maybe they've seen me play at a festival or a club or do a talk somewhere and they're like, oh yeah, I know who you are, like click, follow, cool. And then there's like probably like a smaller group of people that are like regularly engaging with things that I post or asking questions or like are very interested in like how I've landed on some of these things. And that is a very small group. So that's maybe like, I was saying very small group, maybe that's like 2,000 people, which is a lot of people to like kind of balance in your like communication. But it's smaller than say like the Instagram audience or the amount of people that you would speak in front of in a month or something. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And I think like, if you think of artists or like musicians releasing songs, there's like audiences for the song and not for the DJ. They're like, I like a song, doesn't mean I'm gonna go and see them play at a festival or I'm interested in anything else that they're doing. I just like the song. So like I end up like following all these people that I actually don't even listen to, and I listen to all these people that I don't even follow. And I take my own work as the same thing. And I try not to read like, oh, like I've got 60,000 followers, so I've got a 60,000 person audience. I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, exactly. I find this really hard to kind of like get my head around because I think, okay, for example, of the podcast, right? You put a clip out and as you said, you'll have like a small percentage of people that will like really engage with that, and you'll have the people that are always comment on your posts and like really are interested in the stuff that you're creating. Then you'll have like people that will probably just be interested in that specific thing that you've created, that one reel, that one post, whatever. And then you just have a load of just random other people. And I just sometimes just feel like it's just such a strange space that you're putting stuff out there for people that like what, why, and what's the purpose behind me doing this? And like, am I trying to post this to attract other people to then like other stuff that I'm creating, or am I creating it for myself? Mm-hmm. Which is why the podcast actually started, because I just use the podcast as a way to meet people and for networking. Mm-hmm. But then from what I build from the podcast, then I can share it with other people. But I don't know, I just find like it's just a strange pace of just really random people that, like, where is it going? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well then just leave that open and just see what happens. You already like are making creative decisions. Like you already filtered, okay, who you decide to talk to, where you shoot it, what clips go out. So there is like a kind of, you're not just putting out like 10-hour conversations. Like you're already like filtering it down to something that you instinctively want, and then just letting things develop. Like if I tried to steer exactly what I wanted out of the square, for example, it wouldn't have like blossomed in the way that it did. I kind of just like it was like more of a process of letting things go than being like, okay, it needs to be this, and then trying to chip away at that. Most of the time when I see with artists, I'm just like, hey, if you go through the process of making and sharing, and then you're like, okay, this seems to connect with me, I get excited by doing it this way, and then you dig deep on that. So for a lot of people, it takes a while to find that like that particular like biting point. So yeah.
How do you know if an idea still has life in it?
If it just takes no effort to like, not no effort, but just I'm still motivated to do it. So some things I do just because I want to do them, and that is a good enough reason. Like it doesn't matter if like people respond to it or how many likes it gets on social media or something. So I just want to do that.
Yeah.
And then I'll just put it out, and whatever response it gets, it's like fine. That's more of a bonus. And I've tried to like keep, I guess, anyway, I think about art, and I guess the risk appetite I have for it is that alone. It's like, okay, I've made it, had fun making it, and now I'm sharing it. Gets one play, cool. If it gets 100,000 plays, great.
I think like when you have that mindset, it actually changes everything, because I used to, as I said before, very much used to be like, oh my God, like I'm going to put something out there and like nobody's going to give a shit what I'm saying or what I've created. But now actually, when I think of it in the way as you've just said, like I enjoy creating this, I find it interesting what I'm doing, I don't really care what anyone else thinks. It's so much more enjoyable, and it just, I think, just comes across so much better.
Yeah, and then I think it comes across to other people that you're not like trying to get someone to like something or get someone to agree with something, like, and you can make something that is probably like just more true or more you or more like you just don't find yourself going down these silos of trying to appease people. And for the most part, that's what you would want to consume too, or enjoy. Like if you were listening to a podcast or listening to a song or reading a piece of writing, you want it to be coming from that place too.
Yeah.
So that sometimes, especially like DJ content is like this, where DJs making content wouldn't consume DJ content. So it's like a fool's errand. I don't understand why they do it. Like they wouldn't, the behaviors they're asking you to do, they wouldn't do themselves. So like if they're like, you know, they walk through the empty venue, like do all this stuff, right? That they wouldn't click something and link in bio. Like it might work, but I'm not in any doubt of that. But you know that's not a behavior they go through themselves.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I ask people, like, how do they use the apps themselves? What makes you click the link in bio? What makes you become more curious to go further than like a reel? And then it's like you just doing that yourself. So a lot of the things that maybe the way I try and share ideas is like a response to how I'm responsive to ideas.
No, I agree with you. I think sometimes people probably just get stuck in thinking like, oh, I have to like do this, follow this marketing plan, or do it like, as you said, the walkthroughs because every other DJ does it. But actually, like, why don't you look at how you respond to these ideas and content, and why would you click on it?
Yeah, but like for most of the artists I speak to, like DIY people or even people with small teams, like the marketing plan gets stuck to like right at the first step, and then it'll just fall apart. So like it got 20 likes. Oh, now we need to rethink what we're doing. So you've gone through this hassle of like creating this long plan, PDFs. You've spoken about it for weeks, and then you drop the piece of content or the thing that you're talking about, and it's like, okay, maybe we need to change course here. I'm like, okay, why don't you make something that is actually just easier in terms of flow, and you can react to in real time and build up something rather than everything happening behind the scenes or behind like closed doors, and building confidence in something that ultimately is not going to be decided by you. It's going to be decided by this black box algorithm moment in time. You know what I mean? The amount of things that I've planned around, you know, COVID was like this. I sat in a meeting in February 2020 with the artist team, and they were asking me for help on something. And it was like, okay, we're going to do this in March, and this is September, and October we're going to do this. And it's like, the next month is lockdown. Like I was doing a project in January 22, and then we had all these like timings of like 6 p.m, like Monday we're going to drop this, Tuesday we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And then like that week the Ukraine-Russia war broke out, all plans went to zero straight away. So we spent 2 months planning all of this thing intricately, and then just like that, up in smoke. Same thing. Like there's loads of examples like this I've had over the last 3 or 4 years where flow would have just been better than meticulously going with like these like ultimately minor bits of detail.
So do you just go with the flow with anything like that you're launching?
I try to. I try. And like there are plans, there are like things that are in motion, but I just try not to be like as put too much time into like these bits of detail that ultimately will need to change for many reasons. Like I try and make the ideas bounce off each other. So it's like, okay, you have like idea, then the music, then long form writing, then a bit of lecture thing. Like so there's things that are going back and forth rather than trying to like make one particular post bang. Like it's not in our control.
Yeah. Is there like a specific post or something that you've ever created that you didn't think was going to do that well and then actually surprisingly worked very well?
Yeah, I don't think about that stuff prior. I just like write it. I think it's interesting to share and then let it go. Like the book is called Close That Make the Thing, and when I originally posted that, it has like 300 likes. So it was the repetition that got it going. And then there was one post I did a few months ago now, and it was how can I get paid to make whatever I like without having to promote it or fund it while living good in an expensive city until I die. But it was just a picture of that on a screen that I've said many times. And I just put it as the front of a carousel with a whole bunch of other things, but it just caught fire. I didn't even think about it having some extended reach, and that's the most liked post I've ever had. This is 3-4 years into the project. And that wasn't even intentional. It just happened to be the first image that I picked.
Is there any squares that you wish that now you had put in the book that are not in there?
There's some I just did after the book was printed that can't be included. I think I'm going to do a second edition, which is just smaller because the shipping on this is a bitch, and it's harder to get around the world. It's like 10 inches. I want to do something that's half the size, with some of the projects updated in it.
Yeah.
So there will be a few ones I'd never got around to posting. And then because the actual format of Instagram changed it to rectangles.
Yeah, that must have been so annoying for you.
That was good. It's perfect.
Oh, great.
Yeah, it's perfect because I wanted to stop, and it was like, cool. It gave me a logical conclusion.
Yeah.
Like literally the end of the book is like the platform will eventually change in some form. So while I'm here, like actually collecting all the things I've been posting and letting it go and moving on to the next thing is super important. That's like, one of the most important parts of the project is like knowing when to stop. Because I knew there was some sort of time limit, maybe even extended this time than it needed to be.
How do you know when to stop a project?
But there's many reasons, but in the case with this is when what I get back from it is there's no like additional value. So everything that I get asked to do based on this project now, if I posted another square or another set of ideas, it wouldn't be like a new set of opportunities. So like you can kind of see roughly the way I think. It's out there in the world. I've been everywhere that I was invited to or practical to go. Now, if I do a new idea, then again, it hits new people, new kind of excitement, new ways of communicating. Mm-hmm. Whereas with this, it's like, okay, I've done every lecture, practical. I've been to every festival that's asked me. There's no more to do. And if people want me to come back to places and do things, and it's exciting to me or interesting, then I'll do that. That's fine. But I don't need to like post another set of ideas to generate a discussion. Yeah.
Which is the square that's had the most impact on your life?
What is the square that's had the most impact on my life? Maybe the... Wow. That should be like an easy question to answer. Maybe the DJ one, of like the DJ and everything pushing out, because I feel like that's just the way I look at creativity or being an artist or thinking about where I want to go next with this kind of stuff. So it's like a mirror, like why am I not doing these things? I need to just take a leap and get some of them done. So I guess the beginnings of me being an artist is that I obviously was doing stuff before, but I feel like, okay, 2025 is like my first actual year of being an artist, which is insane.
2025 is your actual year of being an artist?
Yeah. My first year. Well, that's how I'm looking at it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So why don't you think the years before counted as you being an artist?
They do, like in terms of building blocks, in terms of like, I guess building who I am as a person. But in terms of it being, like I worked on a lot of other people's projects, worked a lot behind the scenes, done work with institutions. Now, like I'm in a period of time where everything is just very self-initiated. Like if I don't do something, it's because of me. Whereas I think when you work on commissions or you're working with artists, then you're being led, or like you're going down certain paths.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm writing now, and if I don't write, then there is no product. So that's what I mean, maybe.
Do you have like a team that works with you, or is it just you? Nope.
No. I don't even need a team, really. I can respond to everything that I feel like is worth responding to. I've stopped responding to certain things just for ease. I don't know what I'd need a team for, really. I have an my agent that works on my DJ bookings, helps me out with some things here and there. But I can answer any question that gets sent to me. Logistics and stuff are reasonably straightforward. I don't know. I guess I collaborate with other artists, so maybe sometimes I benefit from their infrastructure, but that's super rare.
Yeah.
I prefer just at least in this phase of what I need to get done, I don't need anyone else's help. There will maybe be another point where that's not true, but at the moment I'm just writing and DJing. If I don't write, then there's no output, and if I don't DJ, there's no output. No one else can do that for me. And the closer I get to just even the work and commissions and stuff, if I had to put an intermediate person there, then I wouldn't even understand what I've been asked, or there'd just be too much friction.
Yeah. I guess that kind of goes back to what we were saying at the beginning of the conversation. I think some artists, when they first start out and they think I need to have a manager, I need to have an agent, because that's what you think the standards are. But then I truly believe that artists that are starting out need to do that work themselves and be at these places and meet these people and network, and not just have somebody stood in front of you doing it, because then you're not building that network, somebody else is building it.
Exactly. And I guess as an artist or as a person, you can't really spot opportunities if you're not connected to what's actually happening. So sometimes by nature of the request I'm getting, I can kind of see the things that everyone seems to be talking about something. Let me not talk about that, or let me not do that. Mm-hmm. So it's the reverse. I get asked a lot of the same questions in terms of work. I'm okay, this seems to be something that people are really focused on. Let me not go down that path, which seems counterintuitive, but yeah.
What's something a lot of people are asking you about right now?
There would just be a topic, say the levies on live music, for example. We take £1 from stadium show and then reinvest it in culture. And I'm just okay, I can just stay out of that conversation. I disagree with nearly everyone on that. So I don't need to get involved in that.
What's a conversation you think there needs to be more of, or a conversation that you would like to have that nobody's asked you about?
Will electronic music, dance music, DIY, independent music free artists from in perpetuity deals?
And what's your thoughts on that?
No one will raise this conversation because it's bad for business, but I think it would be good for artists. And I'd like to have that conversation with a rights holder one day in a public space. And a lot of the conversations I'm interested in, I just won't really, I'll try and do them publicly. So I'm doing one at the Barbican with Genius on radio. People ask me questions about One Extra and things that I've said about them online. I'm okay, I'll speak to the people that work there, but only publicly, just so everyone can benefit from it. Not to put anyone on blast or anything, just I think that's the usefulness I can have in the scene.
What is your vision or your thoughts on the current state of electronic music in 2025?
I don't think I have this is where it's at in 2025 type of feeling about electronic music. It's just the same as ever. It's good music, it's bad music. There's, I guess, this, at least in the corner that I'm in, there's this, maybe the struggle of the balance of being a commercial artist and then where your actual work lands. So you have to like deal with like private equity firms and things that you don't agree with to be in front of an audience, which is a challenge for some people. I don't think I have like a one sentence feeling about electronic music as a collective entity. I think it's easier not even to view it as a collective entity anymore. It's just too big, too wide, too sprawling. It'd be like having an opinion on film or sport. It's like, it's just too big.
What do you think electronic music would be like without social media right now?
When you say without social media, I think there's electronic music without cameras is a different thing to without social media. So I feel like what happens in clubs, that kind of thing, staying in the club, would make people behave differently outside of it. So if there was no cameras at festivals or no cameras inside, then imagine like all the content that wouldn't exist or would populate their social media accounts. Like what would actually be on a festival DJ's account? Apart from drop videos, like what would actually be there?
Nothing.
So I think that's interesting, like taking the camera out of the equation. What stands? But then remember, like obviously electronic music sits in this wider like entertainment world or content world. So maybe just people will just listen to something else or do something else.
Yeah.
So it doesn't exist in this vacuum that it kind of talks about itself as if it is. Because I'll scroll and you have a DJ, then you have a footballer, then you have someone that's mastered bowling, then you have a guy that is, you know what I mean? It's that the genre of media now is like social, rather than it being like electronic music. Like it would really be, from the way at least the way I use the internet, and probably like the way a lot of other people use it, is all your stuff is just in one place. So again, like it's really hard for me to get the feeling of like how like electronic music is or how this thing is. Maybe I'm not invested enough in that because I'm not managing artists or anything. I can just enjoy it just as an art form or just particular artists, rather than being like I don't own a club, or you know what I mean. I'm not like in that way. I can just turn off everything and never participate in again. Whereas I think if you've got like real skin in the game, then that's not an option for you. Whereas I guess I've got like one foot out, I guess.
It's really interesting, like the no phone policy at nightclubs, because obviously I totally get the point where it's a DJ's playing and everyone's on their phones and people are not, you know, engaging with the music and they've kind of like lost that vibe. But then on the other hand, I think, okay, as you said, what would they even post about? 2, we also do somehow need to document like what's happening. And 3, like it helps the growth of the industry.
No, it doesn't. I think everyone overstates this. Like,
do you think?
Yeah, the industry isn't really growing because people are posting stuff online. Like, people.
Okay, what if nobody ever again posted anything about like any festival or any club night? What would people do?
You don't have to. I do hypotheticals.
Okay.
Don't have to worry about that. That's not gonna happen.
Okay, end of that conversation.
Yeah, don't have to worry about that. Like the industry doesn't grow because people post on the internet. That's not what's happening. If anything, it's shrinking because let's say the top tier of the thing is taking up more space than ever. It's not evenly distributed. It never was, but it's probably less so today than it ever has. But that is with most things in society. You don't have 10 social media apps. You have 2 or 3. You don't have, the biggest DJs in the world feel bigger because they're in every portal of your thing. Like they're on TikTok, they're on Instagram, they're on Spotify. It feels more invasive than it probably just did before. But I don't know if they are bigger. Like, is someone bigger than like Fatboy Slim when he made Right Here, Right Now? I don't know. Like I don't think so. It doesn't feel like that to me. I feel like, again, all of these silos. You have to be really involved and interested in electronic music to even know what's going on. Whereas I wouldn't say the same with some other forms of entertainment. Like if I don't know who, I don't even know who is considered the biggest DJ in the world right now, and I'm involved in electronic music.
Yeah.
So.
Interesting point.
Yeah.
No, I get what you mean, and I agree with you. I think I was thinking more like if an artist has a release, and the release is out and it's played out, people see it on social media. What if that didn't exist? But again, that's not going to happen. You see where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
Like you have a release out and then like it's played out, but nobody's filmed it and it's never on social media. Like unless you actually really follow that artist or you're at that festival or club, where would you hear it?
Just at a festival in a club. That's it. That's it. And all these moments are very transient anyway. Like you can go to 10 different events across the city or across the country and not really hear the same music.
Yeah.
And think of like if you go to a club, it's like 4 hours. Like the amount of actual sound and things you're processing is just like, there's a lot of music, man.
There's so much.
Yeah. So to even retain any memory of anything is kind of impressive. So like today, like I guess when we think of like say like the biggest DJs or the biggest songs, it's more like just an impressive feat of being able to cut through all of the noise and like being able to retain something that is like just like wow, oh like you did something that people remembered. That's like the achievement now.
Yeah, but also like if we say biggest DJ, like what is the biggest DJ? Is it biggest DJ because you have the most bookings? Is it the biggest DJ because you have the most followers? Is it the biggest DJ because you have the most streams? Like what is the biggest DJ?
Yeah, it'd be like I guess a combination of all of those things, right? But again, it's like big is just again it's relative. Like in my world, I feel like I've said it before, like DJ AG is like the most important DJ.
Yeah.
He doesn't do all that festival stuff and he's not playing at EDC or anything like that. He's DJing in the street in King's Cross.
Yeah.
But that to me feels the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Or the most important at least, you know?
Totally.
So like again, a year ago, 2 years ago, the biggest or the most important DJ not being someone that, you know, came out of a small club and like built his way up and played, you know, that's just one way. And I think just my interests are just becoming like, oh, okay, how do we use that medium to be more expansive and like kind of interested in the possibilities of where this can not just go next for like, oh, everyone's going to do that now. It's more like, oh, like the diversity of success or the diversity of cultural production is what I'm interested in. So if you think over, you know, if you combined all your listening and watching and purchasing habits, like what would that actually look like over a year? Mm. You know, so I enjoy like, you know, big festival DJs in a particular moment, the classic stuff. Okay, you have a DJ AG, you'll have like some people that just are good at content, people that are good at doing radio shows, like people that I've seen in a club. I don't know, there's all kinds of things if you just took across a year, if you had like to pick 52 bits of, like say like every week of your year, you pick something that you thought was just good, like how diverse that would actually be, rather than this monolith of like, this DJ is the biggest in the world. I just don't feel, at least to me, that's just not the most interesting way of framing this scene or world.
I like that idea, picking something every single week of the year.
Yeah, so
that's
one day,
cool.
1 week documentary, another week song, another week club night, another week festival, another week whatever reel, another week a TikTok, another week a tweet, like another week a book, another week a podcast. You could literally have 52 different bits of kinds of content or experiences that give your, like, I guess your perspective on culture, exhibition, like it's endless.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I wish I could just sit and chat with you all day long, to be honest. I have so many questions. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Just to end, I ask all of the guests the same question because the podcast is called Can You Put Me on Guest List? And the question is, do you have a guest list rule?
My guest list rule, as you know, friends buy tickets. Yeah.
That's my favourite one yet. Thank you so much.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.